Focus on yourself and shock everyone. Let's be real. Too many of us are addicted to approval. We crave likes, comments, applause, and nods from people who don't even know our story. It's time to stop living for validation and start living for transformation. You don't need their permission to grow. You don't need their praise to succeed. When you stop needing attention, you gain focus. We live in a world where validation is just a tap away. One post, one story, one status update can invite hundreds of opinions, and we start depending on those opinions to shape how we feel about ourselves. We begin to believe that if something isn't acknowledged publicly, it's not good enough. That if we don't get applause or praise, our efforts don't matter. But here's the truth. Constantly seeking validation is the fastest way to lose yourself. When you're always looking for approval from others, you start editing yourself. You silence your real thoughts, you hold back your true desires, you begin to live a filtered version of your life, one designed not for fulfillment, but for applause, and that's dangerous. Because while you're trying to impress the world, you're slowly forgetting who you are. You start measuring your worth by how much people approve of your choices, your appearance, your opinions, and your dreams. But the harsh reality is this. People's opinions are fickle. They change like the wind. If you live for their applause, you'll die with their silence. Seeking validation becomes a mental trap. You might delay starting a new project or sharing your creativity because you're afraid it won't be good enough. You might stick to a safe path, not because it's what you want, but because it's what others expect. This is how people live entire lives built on expectations, not passions. They play small just to be accepted. But real growth, real success, it demands that you break free from that cycle. The people you're trying to impress, they don't live your life. They don't walk in your shoes. They don't carry your burdens or feel your passion. So why should their opinions weigh more than your inner voice, yourself? Worth can't come from others because their version of you is based on what they see, not what you truly are. Validation that comes from the outside is temporary. The moment people stop clapping, you're left empty, unless you've built a strong, rooted sense of self from within. Instead of asking, will they like this? Try asking, do I like this? Instead of wondering if you'll be judged, ask yourself if you're proud of what you're doing. Self-validation is the key to freedom. It means you trust yourself enough to take the leap, even if no one's watching. It means you're okay with doing something that may not be trendy or popular, but it's real. It's you. There's a quiet kind of power in not needing approval. It's not arrogance, it's clarity. It means you're so focused on your path that the noise doesn't shake you. You can move in silence, build in peace, and grow without explaining yourself to anyone. That kind of confidence is rare and it's magnetic. When you stop chasing validation, you start attracting respect. Why? Because people can feel authenticity, and authenticity is what makes an impact. Let this be your reminder. You are not here to live a life that pleases everyone. You're not here to shrink yourself for the comfort of others. You're here to grow, to challenge, to evolve, to make moves that feel right to you. Validation is nice, but it's not necessary. You don't need applause to make progress. You don't need likes to be valuable. You don't need agreement to be right. The moment you stop needing validation is the moment you become truly powerful. Because then, nothing can stop you, not fear, not doubt, not the opinions of others. You become driven by purpose, not praise, and that's when you start shocking everyone, not because you tried to impress them, but because you focused on becoming the best version of yourself, unapologetically. Growth is rarely glamorous. It doesn't always come with fireworks, applause, or instant results. In fact, real growth often happens in the quiet seasons, when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, and when everything feels slow, uncertain, or even invisible. But these are the seasons that define you. These are the moments that separate those who only dream from those who truly evolve. To embrace your growth season is to trust the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening. We've been conditioned to expect fast results. We want success now. We want transformation overnight, but growth doesn't operate on your timeline. It moves at the speed of persistence, not impatience. And just like a seed planted in the soil, the most important development happens underground, where nobody sees it. It takes time for roots to grow deep enough to support something strong. If you pull the seed up too early to check if it's growing, you kill its chance of becoming what it was meant to be. That's how your growth works too. Maybe you're in a season where it feels like you're putting in all this effort and not seeing the return. You're working on yourself, investing in your goals, staying consistent. But nothing seems to be shifting. That's okay. That's part of the process. It's in those times of quiet work, of repeated effort, of inner struggle, that you are building the strength, discipline, and resilience that will carry you forward when life gets real. You're not stuck. You're being shaped. Embracing your growth season also means understanding that not everything you want will come easily or quickly. And that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of depth. You're learning things about yourself you didn't know before. You're unlearning patterns that no longer serve you. You're stretching beyond what's comfortable. Growth will demand you let go of your old self, and that's not always pretty. Sometimes it feels like losing. But in reality, it's rebirth. During your growth season, you might be misunderstood. People may not get what you're doing. They might even question your decisions or laugh at your ambitions. Let them. You're not growing for applause. You're growing for alignment. You're not changing to impress anyone. You're changing to become the person you were always meant to be. And not everyone can go with you on that journey. And that's okay too. Growth sometimes means outgrowing environments, relationships, and versions of yourself that once felt comfortable. This is your season to build, to heal, to learn, and to rise. It's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be worth it. It's meant to challenge you so that when the moment comes where your opportunity arrives, you'll be ready, not just with skill, but with character, because success without growth is shallow. But when you've grown through the process, when you've earned it through patience, struggle, and relentless commitment, you carry your success differently. You become unshakable, so be patient with yourself. Don't rush your journey just to keep up with someone else's timeline. You're not behind. You're right on time for your life. Trust that the work you're doing now, the late nights, the small wins, the moments of doubt you push through, it's all adding up. Every effort counts. Every lesson matters. And while it may not be visible yet, one day the results will speak so loudly that you won't need to. Keep watering your growth, even when it looks like nothing is sprouting. Stay committed to your evolution, even when no one notices, because when your season of bloom arrives, and it will, everyone will see the strength you built in silence, and more importantly, you will know the power that was always inside you. We live in a world that's louder than ever. Notifications buzzing every few seconds, opinions flying around on social media, endless comparisons, distractions disguised as entertainment, and pressure coming from every direction. In this chaos, it's easy to lose sight of who you are and what truly matters. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is eliminate the noise. Noise isn't just about sound. It's everything that clutters your mind, drains your energy, and pulls you away from your purpose. It's the opinions of people who don't know your journey. It's the fear of missing out. It's the mindless scrolling, the overthinking, the constant checking, the meaningless drama. It's the small talk that adds no value, the gossip that pulls you down, and the doubts that creep in because you're trying to meet someone else's standard. And if you're not careful, all that noise becomes the soundtrack to your life, drowning out your own voice. The problem with noise is that it's addictive. It gives the illusion of connection, progress, or productivity, when in reality, it's robbing you of focus, and focus is your superpower. Without it, you drift. You chase things that aren't aligned with your values. You say yes to things you don't care about. You try to be everything to everyone and end up being nothing to yourself. But when you begin to eliminate the noise, you create space for clarity. And that's when everything starts to change. Silencing the noise starts with boundaries. You don't have to answer every message. You don't need to attend every event. You don't owe everyone an explanation for your decisions. Protect your time, your energy, and your peace like they are sacred, because they are. Learn to say no without guilt. Not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every person should have access to you. When you set boundaries, you give yourself permission to focus on what truly matters. It also means being intentional about what you consume. Your mind is like a sponge. It absorbs what you feed it. If you're constantly watching content that makes you feel like you're not enough, or engaging in conversations that drain your spirit, it's no wonder you feel lost or anxious. Start paying attention to the quality of what enters your mind. Choose books that challenge you, conversations that inspire you, content that uplifts you. When you change what you consume, you change what you create. Another major source of noise is comparison. Social media makes it so easy to compare your life to someone else's highlight reel. You start thinking you're behind, that you're not doing enough, or that your journey isn't exciting. But comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, your gratitude, and your focus. Your journey is yours. The timing, the lessons, the struggles, they all serve a purpose that's unique to you. Don't let someone else's timeline rush yours. Trust your process. Eliminating noise is about creating stillness within yourself. It's in that stillness where you hear your intuition, feel your emotions, and reconnect with your goals. It's where ideas are born and growth happens. You don't need to have all the answers right now, but you do need to give yourself the chance to hear them. And that can only happen when you mute the outside world long enough to listen to your own truth. So unplug, log out, slow down, be alone with your thoughts, meditate, reflect, write, get back in touch with the real you, the one who's buried beneath all the layers of noise and expectation. The clearer your mind, the stronger your direction. The less noise you allow, the more power you gain. Because when you eliminate the noise, what's left is you, focused, intentional, and unstoppable. Everyone wants the success, the spotlight, the transformation, but very few are willing to commit to the boring stuff that actually makes it happen. The truth is, greatness isn't built in the big, exciting moments. It's built in repetition, in discipline, in the small, unglamorous habits that nobody claps for. If you want to level up, you have to be willing to master the boring stuff. What is the boring stuff? It's the daily discipline. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It's doing the workout even when you're tired. It's sticking to your plan when no one is watching. It's practicing the same skill for the 100th time until it's second nature. It's showing up for your goals with the same energy, day in and day out, regardless of how you feel. It's the grind that doesn't get posted, the effort that doesn't get likes, the sacrifices that no one sees. We've glamorized success, but we've forgotten what it actually takes to get there. There's nothing exciting about practicing alone, studying when your friends are out, or repeating a routine until it's perfect. But that's where the winners are made. The people who master the boring stuff are the ones who eventually shock everyone. Because while the world was distracted, they were preparing. While others were chasing quick wins, they were laying bricks one by one, until a foundation was built strong enough to carry anything. The boring stuff is where confidence is born, because when you show up consistently, you begin to trust yourself. You're not relying on motivation anymore. You're relying on identity. You don't have to convince yourself to keep going, because it's just what you do now. You become the kind of person who doesn't quit, who follows through, who finishes what they start. And when you trust yourself at that level, that's when things start to shift. Mastery doesn't come from intensity. It comes from consistency. Anyone can go hard for a day or two. That's easy. But can you keep going when the excitement fades? Can you show up when no one's watching? Can you stick to your path when it's not giving you instant results? That's what separates the real ones from the talkers. Everyone says they want it. Few are willing to earn it through the repetition it takes to get there. And here's the thing, the boring stuff doesn't stay boring forever. Eventually, what once felt tedious becomes part of who you are. It becomes routine, natural, even enjoyable. You stop resisting the work and start embracing it, because deep down you know it's working. You may not see the results immediately, but you can feel the shift. You feel stronger, more focused, more disciplined. That's growth in real time, and it's powerful. When you master the boring stuff, you become dangerous, not because you're flashy or loud, but because you're consistent, and consistency compounds. One workout won't change your body, but hundreds will. One writing session won't make you a great author, but years of daily writing will. One quiet act of discipline may seem small, but over time it builds a life of excellence. It's not the big moves that change your life. It's the small ones done relentlessly. So if your goals feel far away, if your progress feels slow, don't get discouraged. Get consistent. Get focused. Double down on the habits that feel repetitive and unexciting, 'cause that's the work that matters most. The world may not notice you now, but that's okay. Keep stacking your efforts. One day they'll look at you and say, "Where did that come from?" And you'll smile, knowing the answer. It came from mastering the boring stuff. In the age of constant sharing, it almost feels unnatural to do anything without announcing it. Every move, every goal, every small step forward is often broadcast to the world in search of validation, recognition, or applause. But there is something incredibly powerful, incredibly rare, and incredibly underrated about building in silence. When you learn to build without broadcasting, you shift your focus from impressing others to impressing yourself. You move from performance to purpose. The temptation to share every update is real. You want people to know you're working, that you're grinding, that you're on your way. But the need to constantly prove you're doing something often comes from a place of insecurity, not strength. True confidence doesn't scream. It doesn't need to. It grows in silence. It thrives in the background. And the truth is, when you broadcast every move, you expose your energy to too many opinions, too many expectations, and too many distractions. Sometimes the more you talk about it, the less you do about it. Talking gives a temporary feeling of accomplishment. You feel like you've done something just by announcing it, when in reality nothing's changed. Real progress doesn't come from posting. It comes from doing, from the early mornings, the long nights, the behind, the scenes effort that no one claps for. That's where results are made, quietly, consistently, without an audience. When you build without broadcasting, you protect your momentum. You're not weighed down by the pressure to perform or to meet others' expectations. You move with freedom. You can fail in peace. You can pivot without judgment. You can experiment, learn, and grow without the fear of someone watching your every step. And that privacy gives you power, because when no one knows your next move, no one can interfere with it. Silence is a form of strength. It's a sign that you're focused, locked in, and committed to the process, not the perception. Let people wonder, let them underestimate you, let them assume nothing's happening. That's the beauty of building quietly. When the results finally show, they speak so loud you don't have to. The shock factor comes from the reveal, not the reminder. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. Some people only pay attention to judge. Some are waiting to see you quit. Some are silently rooting for your failure, even while pretending to support you. So why give them updates? Why feed energy to eyes that aren't looking at you with love? Protect your vision, keep it close, nurture it in peace. Let your work be your voice. This doesn't mean you never share your wins or your progress. It just means you don't rely on the external spotlight to feel worthy. You know what you're building, you know how hard you're working, and that's enough. When the time is right, your success will be undeniable. And by then, you won't have to explain a thing. People will see the results and realize you were never idle. You were just focused. There's a special kind of pride that comes from looking back and knowing you did it quietly. You didn't ask for permission. You didn't beg for attention. You just did the work. And when you do that, When you build without broadcasting, you create something real, something rooted, something that can't be shaken by opinions or overlooked because it wasn't hyped. So stop announcing every step. Stop needing to prove you're making moves, just make them. Let the results be your announcement. Let the transformation be the surprise, and let your success speak so loudly that the people who doubted you are left in silence, just like you were while you built it. There's something powerful about deciding to change so deeply, so completely, that the old version of you no longer exists. To become unrecognizable is not just about physical transformation or external success, it's about evolving from the inside out. It's a commitment to shedding the layers of fear, doubt, bad habits, and limitations that once defined you. It's about stepping into the person you were always meant to be, even if it means leaving behind everything familiar. Transformation isn't something that happens by accident. You don't stumble into greatness or growth. It happens when you make a conscious decision that staying the same is no longer an option. Maybe you're tired of your own excuses. Maybe you're done settling. Maybe you've reached a point where you know, deep down, that you're capable of more. That's where it begins, not with a dramatic change overnight, but with a quiet choice. I'm going to become better, no matter what it takes. Becoming unrecognizable means you start choosing discipline over comfort. It means waking up earlier, even when your bed is warm. It means studying when everyone else is out, grinding when no one's watching, and doing the small, consistent things that don't look impressive, but lead to massive results. It's about saying no to short-term pleasure for long-term fulfillment. And the more you do that, the more you start to shift. Not just in what you do, but in how you think, how you speak, how you carry yourself. This kind of change might confuse people. The ones who knew the old you might not recognize this new version, and that's okay, that's the point. You're not changing to fit in. You're changing to level up. Some people will misunderstand your growth. They'll say you've changed like it's a bad thing. But the truth is, if you're evolving, you're supposed to change. You're supposed to outgrow the habits, the people, and the environments that no longer align with your future. And while others might be shocked by your transformation, the real shock is what happens within. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop guessing your worth. You walk into rooms with confidence. You hold boundaries with grace. You start showing up with a version of energy that commands respect, not because you're trying to be better than anyone else, but because you finally believe in your own potential. This journey isn't easy. You'll face doubt. You'll want to quit. You'll have days when nothing feels like it's working. But you push through anyway because the old you, the one who procrastinated, played small, played safe, doesn't get to win this time. That version of you had its time. Now it's time to rise. To become unrecognizable is to become undeniable. You're no longer asking for permission. You're no longer hiding your light. You're doing the work day after day until one day you look in the mirror and realize you don't even recognize the person staring back. Not because they're a stranger, but because they're finally the person you've always dreamed of becoming. And the people who once doubted you, who overlooked you, underestimated you, or counted you out, they'll be stunned, not because you told them what you were doing, but because you showed them with results. With transformation, with growth so real, so visible, they can't ignore it. This is your invitation. Don't just improve, transform. Don't just change. Become unrecognizable, not for them, for you, because you owe it to yourself to become the version of you that you know is waiting. And when you do, everything around you will shift, because you did. Thanks for watching.